by then we're going to log back. All right. So today I want us to do a civic education past paper to just solidify some of the concepts that we've been learning. So I couldn't find the 2020 paper. The closest I could find was a 2017. I like to use a 4-year gap. So every time you're preparing for an exam, at least look at the year that you are in and then take it back 4 years. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, those are the good past papers that you can find. So hopefully today we're going to do questions 1 to 20 with reference to what we are doing. So we might encounter new things, but at least hopefully most of the things that we were discussing will be contained in this exact same paper. Okay, so let's begin. So I recommend that I'll send you this as soon as possible, immediately after class, so that you can get your civic education tuition book and just try to maybe even write down the question, not writing the MCQs, but you can write down just, for example, in your book, what is meant by the term sovereignty, then using the correct answer, you just say answer that. So just write down the questions, then try to revise them. Okay, so question 1 is, it's talking about sovereignty. It states what is meant by the term sovereignty. So we did look at this, this word sovereignty. It means self-rule or self-governance. So this is where we're talking about all individual states or all countries in the world are at liberty to make their own rules without outside interference. So here our answer should be self-governance. So our answer will be D. So every time you can make reference to your civic education book, for example, a trick that I use is this. Let me show you a trick that I use. You share. Okay. Let me try sharing Adobe Acrobat. Can you see Adobe Acrobat?
Yes.
So what I usually do, if you have Adobe Acrobat, in conjunction with the textbook, you can just click Control F. Then if you click Control F, you know Control is CTRL, or you can just hit the search button in Adobe Acrobat, but I like using the PC. Or your phone, if you just click the search button, and imagine you have a past paper, so in the search button, you can just say, so, sovereignty. Sovereignty. We say governance. Governance. You click on the search button and it will direct you to the topic. I want it to be more specific. The search icon usually leads you to the exact same topic in terms of searching of the keywords. Let me type it properly. Let's see. SOBE. All right. So it's supposed to bring the results of, okay, what if we type actually this was under governance. Anyway, let's move on with the first paper. Let me share the current screen. But what I usually do, to save on time, I usually just click on search in Adobe Acrobat and it brings, oh, I think this one will work. So here the answer is self-governance. So question 2, let's read question 2 and try searching for the answer using the textbook, even if the answer will be, I'll explain the answer. So a constitution which can be amended by the majority of the members of parliament without calling for a referendum is known as a dash constitution. So here where people are not even directly involved in the decision-making rule, this constitution is known as a flexible constitution, because here they are talking about how easy it can be amended or changed. So because here the constitution can easily be changed just by a majority vote from the parliament without passing through a direct referendum where you refer to the people, it's flexible, it's not rigid. So here our answer is A, known as a flexible constitution. So again, I hope this will work. If you go to your textbook, you can you can see the textbook on the screen. Hello, Fabi, can you see the textbook on the screen?
Yes.
You can click Control F and type in constitution. You see that there are 10 results there. You just click on constitution. So where it says constitution, next. Next. Aha, see, there are the results on the types of constitutions: flexible constitution, rigid constitution, and unwritten constitution. I think these are practice questions, but it has an ability to lead you directly. Aha, here it is. Merits of the constitution. So when you search for a keyword in your textbook, it's going to give you a series of results, and then using those results, you can sort of go directly where the question is talking about. So here it's led us to the types of constitutions, and you can just go straight to where a flexible constitution is, which is fixed constitution, rigid constitution. Here, flexible constitution. This is a type of constitution which can easily be changed or amended. So that's one of the tricks that I use. If I have the textbook, I can just say Control F. I can search for a keyword and I can use that keyword to sort of find my answer. That is if you have a soft copy like the way I'm using, but if you have a hard copy, just go to your table of contents. It will be much easier. So let me go back to our original screen share so that we can move a little bit faster. All right, so let's move on to question 3. Now here we are talking about governance and characteristics of good governance. So in good governance, the rule of law is respected and observed. This means, so you know, respecting the rule of law just states that no one is above the law. No one is above the law. So to maintain that, it actually means that the wing of the government, you know, that implements laws in Zambia has to be independent. So which wing of government actually maintains or governs decision-making process in the country, which governs like laws, it's actually called equality before the, the answer is B. Legislature is independent. So here they made a mistake. This is one word or a hyphen. I'm sure they corrected it in the exam room. So in good governance, the rule of law is respected above all. So this actually means that this wing of the government here, the legislature, has to be independent. So this wing of the government, the legislature, it's actually the one that's associated with mostly making the laws of a state. So if the legislature is independent, the rule of law is going to be respected. So that should be the answer. Yeah, the answer is the legislature. Okay. Are you with me, Fabi?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let's move on to question 4. I actually want you to help me with question 4. For the voting age in Zambia, it's usually mistaken for the age for getting the national registration card, but you also have to know the voting age in Zambia. So question 4 states that voting is a referendum in Zambia, requires a citizen to have a green national registration card and must be how old? What's the voting age? Like these are the 3 marks that you're supposed to be getting in your MCQ paper.
A 16.
Age?
A 16.
Ah, I see, 16 years old. So no wonder this is the distinction that I was trying to make. So there is this part here. First of all, you have to have obtained a green national registration card. So 16 years, you can get your NRC, but you're not considered an adult. So for you to vote, you have to be a legal adult. So 16, you can get your NRC, but you won't be allowed to vote. You have to be 18 for you to be able to vote, for you to be able to be regarded as a legal adult in a country or a state. For Zambia, it's 18 years. So every citizen who has attained the age of 18 has the ability to vote because now the country recognizes you as an adult. So our answer here has to be C. This 16 is for your NRC. You can get your NRC at about 16, but for you to vote, you have to be 18 years old. So don't make that mistake in the exam. Let's try moving on to question 5. So question 5, we have to analyze it a little bit. It says the quality of a citizen which requires a sense of responsibility and service towards the community like devotion to duty is referred to as. So the quality of a citizen which requires a sense of responsibility and service towards the community like sort of devotion is known as. So is it conscious, courage, empathy, or patriotism? So again, if you are not sure of an answer, you just go to your textbook. The answer is patriotism, but you can just say citizenship and it will give you 2 results there. So Control F, citizenship. So this is like types of citizenship. It will lead you to the exact same topic you are looking at. So characteristics of citizenship has got 2 aspects, legal aspect, you see. Then you just start searching for the answer. Just start searching for the answer. So qualifications of citizenship, you see. Okay. So this falls under these things are civil responsibilities of obeying the law, paying taxes, respecting the rights of others. There are certain, here we are, qualities of a good citizen. So this up to intelligence, self-control, conscious, which means the sense of responsibility towards the community, such as which means the sense of responsibility towards the community, such as performing all duties of the country. Oh, here's the answer. We even made a mistake. Patriotism, love for one's country by observing all values and principles of the country. So this is the closest answer. So I love this function. So consciousness, which means the sense of responsibility towards the community, such as performing all duties of the country. So this is the answer, which is exactly identical to what's been written here. The quality of a citizen which encourages a sense of responsibility and service towards the community, like devotion to duty, is referred to as. So our answer becomes conscious. So here is our answer, which is A. We move on to question 6. Question 6 states that when citizens are not responsible to their duties and are not too concerned with their personal safety, and they are always, when citizens are not responsible for their duties and are too concerned with their personal safety and security, democracy cannot survive. Which obstacle of good citizenship best describes the statement above? So here we're looking at two things, not being concerned with performing their duties, so not being able to perform their duties, or looking at no duties being performed, and they are too concerned with their personal safety. So complex nature of modern society, the answer is C, indifference and lack of consciousness, because here consciousness has been described as having that sense of duty, which is lacking. And where this part which says personal security and just worrying about your own self, that's indifference. So we've tackled the two parts of the question. Having no aspect of social duty whatsoever, that's lack of consciousness, and simply just worrying about yourself and, just worrying about your personal safety and security, that's a feeling of indifference. So the answer is indifference or lack of consciousness. So at least this question, question 6, directly links to question 5. If you understand question 5, you can easily answer question 6. Okay, so let's move on to question 7. So question 7 states, among the special groups, so people who are 65 years and above are commonly referred to as, at least this one's easy, they're referred to as senior citizens, right? So a special group, everyone who's at least 65 years and above in a community, the layman's term, the common term, they are actually referred to as senior citizens. Okay, so let's move on to question 8. I'm not so good at these Zambian names. Pronouncing cultural names is a challenge, but this is Caponia. Caponia was caught stealing potatoes and he was beaten by the whole village. So this is like a mob justice situation. Caponia was caught stealing potatoes and beaten by the whole village. What right was being violated by beating up Caponia? So here we're talking about rights of a citizen, and by law, you are innocent until proven guilty. So this Caponia guy was supposed to be caught in an ethical manner and taken to a police station. Then from a police station there will be a legal system that will either prove that Caponia is guilty or not guilty. So here, the right that was violated was be innocent until proven guilty. So our answer here is B. So do you see the thinking process that has to go? So where you are using, we're not guessing here. We are actually using something known as deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is a condition where you already have the knowledge somehow. You've been taught, you've studied the material, and then you are using the information that you've learned to try to logically get to a correct answer. You just can't say, civic education, I'll just watch news, it's general knowledge, I'll pass. You can't pass using general knowledge. You have to have studied the material in proper detail for you to make a logical answer. So let's move on to question 9. So question 9 states that in order to promote human rights, certain attitudes have to be promoted by everyone. These include all of the following except, so you want to obey and promote human rights. So to promote human rights, you have to have humane characteristics. So everything that's not humane will be the correct answer. So here, discriminating other people's gender, this is not humane, so this is actually the correct answer. Participation in important human rights, this is good. Respect for everyone's life, this is good. Taking up one's responsibility in society, this is good. So in order to promote human rights, all these attitudes have to be promoted, except, so this is a very powerful keyword. You have to be careful when it comes to this. So except, so the wrong answer becomes correct. So the wrong answer here is discriminating other people's gender. So this becomes the answer. Please be very, very careful when the examiner uses this word except. Every time you see except, the wrong answer becomes the correct answer. So here the wrong answer is discriminating other people's gender. This won't promote human rights, so it becomes the correct answer. Okay, let's move on to question 10. At least we're about midpoint, we're halfway. The main function of the Auditor General's office is to, so again, you're stuck, you're like, what's this Auditor General? What am I talking about here? We haven't done this topic yet, but you can easily go to your textbook. Once you've gone to your textbook, you can, again, you can say Control F, then you just type in Auditor, and you can see that there are 2 results there, so you can click on that one, and it will lead you straight to the Auditor General's office. That's how powerful this search tool is. At least it works if you are using a digital copy. So here, Auditor General's office, it is provided for under Article 121 of the Zambian Constitution. The question was asking about the major responsibility of this office, and here's the answer. The major responsibility is to ensure that public funds allocated by the parliament are used for their intended purposes. Let me highlight this part for you. Oh, I'm annotating. I was supposed to highlight it. So the Auditor General's office, what's the main function? Its major responsibility is to ensure that public funds allocated by the parliament are used for the intended purposes. So that's the answer there. Then you just simply go back to your past paper. Ensure that public funds are used properly. So that would be our answer. So question 10, our answer is C, like so. So let's move on to question 11. So question 11 states that why is corruption said to be unpleasant and devastating in society? This is because it promotes, so here they are talking about the negative aspect of corruption. Why is it considered unpleasant and devastating? A, it promotes economic, social, and political instability, which is a bad thing. So this becomes the answer. B, it promotes equitable distribution of goods and services. This is good. Good governance and accountability, no. Implementation of policies and programs, no. Why is it considered unpleasant and devastating in society? Because it promotes economic, social, and political instability. So where are we? We are on question. Yes. No, all right. I thought you were asking a question there. So question 12, we're now talking about preservation of culture. So culture preservation is very important in order to maintain our heritage. Identify the statement below that demonstrates how our culture can be preserved. So how can you preserve your culture? Are you supposed to learning about different cultures, learning in our own language, learning in various languages to accommodate other cultures? So accommodating other cultures that are non-Zambian will not necessarily help us preserve our own culture. Learning in our own local languages and learning in various languages will not preserve our own culture because we'll be using our own language to teach about other cultures. So imagine you're using your local language. Maybe this is a teacher of RE and they are using Sinyanja or Silozi to teach RE. So you are just simply using your own local language to enhance the understanding of students. You're not necessarily preserving your culture. So the only way to preserve your culture is to immerse yourself in that culture, to learn about that culture. If it's learning about the language specifically, let's say you've targeted Silozi and you say, I'm going to learn about the history of the Lozi Kingdom, the decentralization, centralization, the people, the language. So when you learn about the culture, you are actually preserving it. But when you are teaching using that language, you are just using that language as a gateway to help people, to help your students understand better that topic that you're teaching. You're not preserving the culture. So the only way to preserve your culture is you have to learn about the different cultures. I'm learning about the Bemba Kingdom, Lozi Kingdom, Lua Lunda, how oral tradition was passed, the various historical sites that we have in Zambia. You take educational tours. That's preserving your culture because you are learning about the different cultures that are available out there. So let's go to question 13. So question 13 is interesting. So study the campus roles below showing the agents of global culture. So agents of global culture, these are things that are highly integrated into society. And they govern how people behave and how they act, how they treat others. So the major identifying thing that we say, all right, this culture is associated with this culture is associated with that. So identify the agent of global culture that's missing at X. It's definitely the church. The church is missing there. You know, we're talking about global things that affect or are not affect, things that influence, because culture has the ability to influence. So global influence at a global scale. That's what they mean when they say agents of global culture. Tourism affects our culture at a global scale. Technology affects globally, trade, imports, exports, global scale. The church, this is extremely global. Friends, interacting with family, mixing of cultures, no, those don't affect that much at a global scale, but the church does. So what's missing here is A. So let's move on to question 14. Dash is not a common cultural practice in Zambia. So dash is not a common cultural practice in Zambia. So the respect of elders is a very common practice in Zambia culturally. Rites of passage, very, very much. Traditional attire, various languages have traditional attire. Social justice, on the other hand, is not common, is not a common cultural practice, I would say, because, you know, certain cultures promote things like early marriages, you know, there is no social justice as such. So I would say the answer here is social justice. I don't see that much social justice taking place in our cultures. Okay, so let's move on to question 15. The last 5 questions before question 20. Then I'll send you the video so that you can revise. Like, make sure you write down the question and the answer. So Mr. Kachimba is a teacher of physics. If he has not taken alcohol, he shakes. So this is a characteristic of like a substance abuse disorder. So this condition is commonly known as substance dependence. And the substance here, we identify the substance is alcohol. And if you become dependent on that substance, so here the substance is alcohol. If you become dependent on that substance, where you are even shaking, if you haven't taken that, it becomes an addiction, and this shaking actually describes things known as withdrawal symptoms. So this condition is a substance dependence. It's not sociological, it's not psychological, it's not physical, but you have developed such a dependence on alcohol that you are having these withdrawal symptoms when you are not taking the alcohol. So it's substance dependence. So let's look at question 16. So question 16 says the strength of any alcoholic beverage depends on the percentage concentration of a chemical known as ethanol. Ethanol is the alcohol that's used in alcoholic beverages. Methanol is too concentrated, it's toxic, not good for the human body. Opiates are painkillers. Pethidine, I think it's also a painkiller of some form. But alcohol is synonymous with the consumption of methanol. Okay, yeah, it's ethanol. Oh yeah, pethidine is actually a painkiller. So this is also a painkiller. So methanol too toxic, opiates and pethidine, these are painkillers. So we're actually talking about the concentration of ethanol or alcohol. So the other word for alcohol is ethanol. So which of the following substances distorts perception of time and space as it affects sites where one can have double vision? So which of these? So here, these heroin and opiates, these again, they are painkillers. So because they are painkillers, these actually affect your pain receptors in your central nervous system. So you won't have a double vision, or you won't lose your perception of time and space, but sometimes you can be highly sedated. So you're going to maybe fall asleep easily. So here there are painkillers and there are also mild sedatives. Alcohol, mostly it's your balance center, your locomotion center. So the main feature of alcohol intoxication is not hallucinations where you are lacking your perception of time and space and also double vision. Sometimes you get double vision with alcohol intoxication, but here it mostly affects your balance center, your locomotion, and your decision-making center inside the brain. But something that makes you hallucinate, where you've sort of lost perception of time and space, you're having hallucinations, double vision, is cannabis, the THC. So this is your cannabis or your marijuana or your weed, in case they change the terminology. Okay, so let's look at our last three questions. So the Bill of Rights contains a number of elements in it, such as protection of rights to personal liberty and the right to life, which is referred to as, so the right to life is a supreme human right. So the right to rights, just here the right to life. So life, something that's intrinsic about you're just born. So that becomes a supreme human right, the right to life. Okay, so here we haven't done various NGOs, but I'll tell you the answer anyway. So the vision of the dash is to ensure that every person enjoys all human rights enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So I'm going to tell you point blank here that the organization if there's one organization that wants to fight human rights, it's Amnesty International. Its main goal and objective is the respect for human rights. So our answer here becomes A. So let's look at our last question. The media is important in good governance. So why is the media important in good governance? Media is there to know, media is directly proportional to the people, because all journalists are actually interested in getting the people's opinion, regardless of what the government thinks. So we need a free media in the country to represent people's opinions and views. So act as a mouthpiece of the people. Act as a mouthpiece of the police? No. Enables people to criticize each other? No, that's not the main importance. Supports opposition parties? No. The media is important in good governance because it acts as a mouthpiece of the people. And we're talking about characteristics of good governance, meaning here we're trying to maintain the rule of law and free and fair elections. So the media is a good source to, to allow people to express their views and opinions. And that's a good characteristic of good governance. So it's 17:33, I have to rush somewhere. Let's end here for today. I will send you this video immediately so that you can revise. Do make sure you go through the biology video I sent. So your goal today is to go through the biology video and this video, as well as the physics video, so that you can, we work towards the final exam. Right, Fabi, I will see you tomorrow at 15 hours. Is that all right? All right, see you tomorrow at 15. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye.
Okay, bye.